Hello, everyone, and welcome to Be Our Guesty, preparing for an uptick in domestic tourism and the future of international travel. With me today are very exciting guests. I'm happy to introduce John Suzuki, Global Evangelist and Ombudsman for VRBO, and Melissa Mahaffey, Partner Success Account Manager at VRBO. And we're going to discuss what's going on with how has COVID-19 impacted us, impacted our clients, our joint clients, give you some tips and tricks for preparing for recovery. And I'm going to start with that's me, Vered Schwartz, President and CEO of Guesty, and John and Melissa are here with us. A few reminders before we start. Be sure to grant all necessary audio permissions so you can hear us. Remember that we cannot hear you. However, we welcome your questions. You can submit your questions by clicking the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. Type in your question and submit. We'll be sure to answer all your questions. If we will not be able to respond to your questions during Q&A, we will send written communications later and respond to all the questions that you may have. We will be recording this event and sharing it via email later so you can access and be reminded of the insights you've learned here. In terms of the timeline, I'm going to start with some introductory remarks about Guesty and how we see the impact of COVID-19 with our data and our customers. Then I'll hand it to John and Melissa to discuss VRBO's insights as to COVID-19 and how it impacted their client business and their recommendations, followed by a fireside chat with the one and only John Suzuki, one of the celebrities of our industry, which we're really proud to have with us today, and Q&A to end our session and try to address all your questions. So to those of you not familiar with Guesty, we are a short-term rental property management platform providing end-to-end solutions for simplifying the complex operational needs of the short-term rental business. We all know how much work is involved in your daily work, from attending to customer communications, managing homeowners, managing check-ins and check-outs, connecting to the different OTAs, managing your calendar, and getting insights to manage and price your business. All that is being provided during the usage of our Guesty dashboard with guest communications, connections to OTAs, calendar management, advanced analytics, automations, and so on and so forth. In addition to our platform, we also see ourselves as a one-stop shop and a hub in the center of the ecosystem of the short-term rentals, where you can find more than 80 different partners connected to our platform, allowing you to extend solutions such as dynamic pricing, smart home automation, and so on and so forth. And of course, we're connected to the main channels, including VRBO, which is with us today, to allow you to smartly manage your business and optimize your occupancy and pricing. When it comes to COVID-19, one of the things we've noticed is that it has resulted in new travel personas, patterns, and guest expectations. Some of these personas, which I'm sure many of you encountered, and we'll talk to John and Melissa about it as well, displaced travelers that didn't mean to be in a certain country and found themselves stuck in a certain country. Digital nomads that has always been a popular trend, but has become a necessity for many of us in the recent months. Cityscapers, people that wanted to escape large cities because of lockdowns, because they couldn't commute to work anyway. A lot of them heading to rural areas to isolate, to find a nicer environment to work in. Of course, anyone that needed to go into quarantine or isolation for medical reason. We also found a new niche of healthcare and frontline workers in many of the large cities. a lot of families decided it's a good time to find a place outside the city with some scenery and outdoor space for the kids. And another interesting trend we found is that a lot of business workers actually are using short-term rentals for a new work from home environment. So if they don't have the capacity in their current home or apartment to work comfortably from home, they are taking short-term lets that give them that environment. That, of course, has led to different patterns and needs of guests, such as extended stays. A lot of our customers, and we'll talk about it later, are starting to open up for extended stays of 28 days and over. A lot of guests are looking for more outdoor space than before. Drive to destinations, domestic travel, because flights are limited in the moment. And we'll talk more about that going forward. The good news for us in the short-term rental business is that although it was, I'd say, a very stressful month of March and even April, it is clear to everyone that short-term rentals are here to stay and are not going anywhere. And a lot of guests are actually opting for short-term rentals over hotel for a number of reasons. First of all, when you want to stay in a safe environment, you'd rather stay in a contact-free location where you can automatically go in, go out, check in, check out without the need for human touch. Having an isolated home with a separate kitchen is really something that guests are looking for. You prefer to have less guest turnover, to have control over the cleaning of your apartment or house. You want to have less shared high-touch surfaces, such as elevators or lobby spaces, and low-risk dining. A lot of people prefer to order food in-house. We saw actually some of our clients adding dining facilities or order-in facilities for their guests because a lot of people wanted to stay home for meals as well. It was also a catalyst to increased adoption of the tech that supports contact-free stays in our marketplace. And I do want to mention that even before COVID-19, there was a lot of adoption of tech in the short-term rental space. We all know that in short-term rentals, we have less headcount than in hotels from the outset. And any technology that helps us be more effective with our guests is helpful. But of course, COVID increased that because guests were really looking for that contact or humanless experience. So if you think of self-check-in and check-out tools such as check-in, Wishbox, You're Welcome, or Unwrapped, we have a lot of success with keyless entry services to avoid physical drop-offs or lock boxes. And you have several examples of them like Remote Lock, Virtual Links, Keynest, and more. Of course, cleaning has become something very central to the experience, and tools like Properly, Breezeway, Room Check-in, Do-In, etc. have become very popular with our clients that want to have more assurance over the cleaning of their spaces. And automated messages, getting a lot more from your communications. We have that through the Guesty inbox that allows you to channel in several channels of communications, SMS, OTA messaging, and emails. And we've just recently added WhatsApp, which is a very useful tool, especially for Europe guests. Another thing that we've seen is our customers showing versatility and agility, because you have to adapt to a new normal, to a new set of rules, to new types of client personas. We have issued a report after interviewing over 400 property managers worldwide and received some very interesting insights. To share just a few of them, and the report is available through the link on my slide. 2 ways that our clients adjusted to COVID-19 was by adopting more flexible cancellation policies. So 22% of respondents said that they had changed their cancellation policies, and 18% reduced their daily rates. we also have to remember that when you extend stays, a lot of it involves slightly reducing your daily rates for monthly stays and more. We also saw that 60% of respondents followed more stringent cleaning protocols in light of COVID-19. And as I've mentioned, flexibility is key in these times. And one of the things we saw is that a lot of our clients have diversified their portfolio and moved some of it to extended stays of 28 days and more. This means several things for you. It means you have to price smartly. It means automating guest communications in a smarter way, centralizing all your bookings, short-term and mid-term, in one multi-calendar to avoid confusion, and the ability to offer rental agreements to guests for booking longer stays. All of those tools, of course, are available on the Guesty platform. We talked about the change in customer personas and the uptick in domestic travel, and VRBO have also prepared for that with their new page, Staycation is Still a Vacation. Great name, by the way. And with that, they've seen a demand for vacation homes within 500 miles of where traveler lives jump in over 15% compared to last year. As we've mentioned, a lot of people are looking to drive to their vacation within a 2 to 3 hour of their place of residence. They've also seen hosts in rural, mountain, and seaside locations that are actually outperforming condensed city areas during this time. Some of them are actually doing very well during COVID-19. We also would like to refer you to our Coronavirus Info Center. You have the link above where you can find research, information about regulations, pricing tips, and additional ways to mitigate the impact of COVID-19. As I've mentioned, we have our industry report, which we also recommend that you download and review. A couple of more insights from there. I already mentioned that we see flexibility in cancellations as being key. We also see that our clients are very optimistic, and most property managers believe that they will weather the storm way better than hotels. I also want to share with you our new infographic about how COVID-19 impacted the short-term rental ecosystem in May and June 2020, showing some interesting insights regarding the impact that it had. We see that there is room for optimism, and with all the negativity that we've seen in Q2, we still see a very impressive uptick in June compared to May. Just to share a couple of these that really did really well in June, we see an uptick in reservations of 28% in the US, which also, of course, have seen quite a recovery in May. Canada is very impressive with a 208% growth month over month in new reservations, followed by UK also with an impressive 18%, Australia 78%, Italy that was hit really hard with COVID-19 in March, April, May is seeing a 70% uptake. Also for the US, we did see a stronger 4th of July 2020 than 4th of July 2019, a 13% increase in reservations, which we felt was positive. And Labor Day weekend is also showing some strength, closing in on last year currently, and we hope it will also outperform 2019 soon. And with that, I would like to allow John and Melissa to take the stage and share their insights. John, Melissa, please take it away.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. Melissa, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Wonderful. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Melissa Mahaffey, and as John said, I am a Partner Success Account Manager, which, as you might guess from the name, means my job is helping property managers be more successful and get more business on our site. I've been with the team for just under a year and truly enjoy my role. What I enjoy the most is contributing to partner successes. I've been in what I refer to as the relationship business for over a decade and relish the chance to connect with each of my partners, which I try to do on a very regular basis, using both account-specific reporting and market-based data. I'm able to provide individualized recommendations to each of my partners. And that's the true job satisfaction for me. So connecting with your account manager is definitely encouraged and very valuable. So I definitely recommend it to everyone out there. And back to you, John, for now.
Okay, good. And I guess I had to put myself on the right screen. Okay, good. So my name is John Suzuki, and I've been told that I have the best title in all of Expedia Group. I am the global property manager. I'm specifically focused on property managers, and I serve exclusively property managers, evangelists and ombudsmen. And what does that mean? As an evangelist, my job is to communicate and let you folks know everything that's going on within the world of Expedia Group. And then as ombudsman, my job is to advocate for you, to listen a lot about what's going on and report back what I'm hearing from you guys back to the company and advocate for you internally. And so as we get started, I wanted to thank Vered and Guesty for inviting us here. It is a very interesting time right now. It's crazy, right? I mean, none of us have experienced this. And so as we move forward, today's answers might be different tomorrow. We know that, right? But we also understand some of the broader trends, and we're going to take you through some of this. So just to kind of take you through a little bit of a foundational update on what's going on out there. You saw this slide. This is what I started with, but families are our strongest audience. 88% of VRBO travelers back in Q4 of last year said that they were planning on traveling with family. That number's gone up, right? And you guys have seen it yourselves. And so the whole idea with VRBO is we are focused on families. It's all about family travel. It's all about unique spaces. It's all about your own spaces for travelers, right? It's not part of the shared economy, which was a really big thing until COVID came along. People want their own spaces now when they're traveling with families. So what do they want? The first thing they want when they're looking for travel and looking to book travel is they want flexibility. They want you to be flexible with them. They want to be confident that whatever the circumstance, hopefully, they will be able to take their vacations. But in the case of the unknown, they want to be confident that they're going to be protected and their investments are going to be protected. So they want traveler-initiated cancellation options. They want free cancellations. They want to be able to search on free cancellation on a free cancellation filter, so that the only properties that come up are those that offer free cancellations, right? 78% of travel booked has been booked on more flexible cancellation policies, right? Before, we were able to say, hey, look, once you get past a certain point, no refunds. We really can't do that anymore, at least in 78% of the cases, right? So they want that cancellation, and they want to be notified when they are approaching that cancellation window, right? Because everybody's busy, everybody's trying to figure things out. And so this little data insight that I'm showing you here, properties with relaxed and moderate cancellation policies earn 30% more bookings, right? So those cancellation policies are very, very important. Okay, so cleaning. Very talked about cleaning, and they want to know what your cleaning practices are. So one of the things that we recently launched was a search filter where people can search on cleaning ratings, guest reviews on cleaning with 4 stars and above. They want to see that. The interesting thing about the guest review cleaning is that it is the most relied upon metric, if you will. 43% of travelers trust the guest reviews on cleaning. And so we all put a whole bunch of information in terms of what our protocols are, in terms of what we're doing, in terms of following the CDC and following departments of health, all those different kinds of things. But the number one thing they're looking for is they're looking for the guest reviews that talk about the cleanliness of your homes. Okay, so one thing you'll want to do is really encourage your guests to make sure that they click on that cleaning part of their guest review. Okay, what else do they want? They want to know what's going on out there. They want to be able to search for vacation rentals. I will tell you, this is a really, really exciting time because, okay, Expedia Group, we do vacation rentals, we do hotels, we do car rentals, we do airlines, we do cruises, we do virtually everything in the travel ecosystem. And vacation rentals are leading the recovery by far, okay? And so it's a really great time because, you know, people want to get out. People have been sequestered in their homes, right? And they've been stuck in their homes, but they also want to get out into spaces that are safe, right? That they know are safe, perfect for vacation rentals with their families. So we've launched a whole series of new ad campaigns highlighting the benefits of vacation rentals based on the research that we're finding on what travelers actually want. Because as you can imagine, just as you guys are experiencing, everything's evolving very, very quickly, right? And today's normal is not tomorrow's normal. So we're constantly looking at the data, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. Okay, this is cool, the whole new staycation idea, right? People don't want to go into cities. 95% of bookings are non-urban bookings, which mean only 5% are, okay? People don't want to go into the cities. On the other hand, what's really interesting is that when we look at where the bookings are coming from, they're all coming from the biggest sources are the cities, right? New York is number one. Paris is number two in terms of where bookings are coming from, not where bookings are going to, okay? And Sydney, Australia rounds out the top 10. So people want to drive to locations, some places that are within, as Baird said, within 500 miles of their home, right? So we launched this new staycation experience. Now, a couple of things to know about this. When you talk about staycations versus vacations, people are looking for vacations. They're looking to disengage. With staycations, they're looking to disengage, but they're looking mostly and largely to get out, right? And in a lot of cases, they want to work. They want to go someplace to work. That's a staycation. So things like something as simple as Wi-Fi, right? You think about Wi-Fi. I can't imagine a home these days not having Wi-Fi, but I can tell you there's a whole bunch of listings on VRBO that don't specifically highlight Wi-Fi. So as you're thinking about this whole staycation thing is really, really cool. I just became an advocate or a victim, whichever way you try to look at it. But I clicked on an ad from VRBO, and it showed me all these different places I could go, like right there, Leavenworth, Clallam, Chelan. These are places near my home, right? What's a Manson, right? In my mind, I'm like, Manson? Where the heck is Manson? I've been living here for 23 years and I've never heard of Manson. And so it was really cool, right? And so I looked at Manson and I went, whoa, that's really cool. I never even knew the place existed. And so these kinds of things are things that we're highlighting on VRBO. So the whole idea is trying to be agile and moving forward very, 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 very quickly, being responsive to traveler needs and helping you, right? Helping you in terms of how do you be successful and giving you the coaching based on the information and the data that we have that's coming through all these different sources within our ecosystem that I won't go into again, right? And then basically translating all that data into actionable recommendations, prescriptive recommendations. And that's where we can help you guys be more successful. And that's where Melissa comes in.
Yes, thank you. So as John mentioned, and as I previously stated, I am part of the VRBO Partner Success Team. And so once you've integrated your Guesty software with VRBO, you'll be assigned to someone like me. And I work individually, as I said, with each of the accounts in my portfolio. And my whole goal, my ultimate goal, is to help you improve, or my accounts improve their performance on the VRBO site. And I do this through optimization consultations, highlighted by individualized reporting, account analysis, and market insights. So looking at the next slide, you'll get a taste of the amount of data and information that is out there, and we are able to use this to help you improve. So on this slide, you'll see 3 different graphs, and these graphs have all been pulled from our COVID-19 Market Insights report, which provides data about traveler behavior, trends in this new world, which unfortunately features COVID-19. And as a reminder, we can pull this report for any market around the world. And we have 3 examples here. So you'll see that we're highlighting Port Aransas, Texas, Phuket, Thailand, County Galway, Ireland. And for example, you can see that in Phuket, almost 80% of bookings are for properties that don't require a refundable damage deposit or owner fees. And this is important to know so that you can make a decision about whether or not you need to adjust your policy in order to attract more travelers. So that's one example of something that's within this report. And also, since COVID hit in Port Aransas, Texas, and this is the top right image, most travelers, which equates to about 55%, are booking rentals with relaxed or moderate cancellation policies as opposed to strict or firm. And so again, just highlighting what John mentioned, the importance of the cancellation policy. No longer can you expect to get the number of bookings you may have previously with having a very strict cancellation policy. And just a couple more things to say about this. The report is updated daily, and actually just this week we updated the report to include even more things. It's about 6 to 7 pages long for each of you, and it includes information about cancellation policy, traveler origin, how far people are driving to reach the locations at which they're planning to stay, the booking window, so how far in advance are people booking, so you can understand if people are booking last minute or more planning ahead. And again, knowing this type of information helps you know where to focus your resources and energy to improve your listings, which ultimately leads to more confirmed bookings, which ultimately makes you happy, your owners happy, and of course me happy. So looking at the next slide here.
Hey, just real quick, Melissa. I just wanted to make sure this slide shows examples of the kinds of data that we can provide to you. This is not the report. So if you ask Melissa for the report, you're not going to get a County Galway, Ireland, and a Port Aransas and Phuket report. You're going to get a report specifically to your particular market area. Okay, and this is live data and live information. So just wanted to clarify that. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, that would be quite confusing if you're in Port Aransas and I'm giving you data from Thailand. Right. So if this is something that you're interested in, if you would like to connect with someone, please go to Guesty _ VRBO at Expedia.com. That's how you can connect with somebody, and an account manager will work with you to focus on your successes, offer personalized consultations, give you the best practices for your area, your specific market, and help you get started to be successful with VRBO. So please do reach out, Guesty _ VRBO at Expedia.com. Okay. And John, I'm going to be handing it back to you now.
Yeah, just a couple of quick comments. We call our team the Partner Success Account Management Team. My personal feeling is that they'd be more appropriately titled Partner Success Consultants. Mm-hmm. Now, the reason why I say this is because that's what they do. When they talk about when Melissa talks about personalized consultations, that's what we're doing. We're consulting with you. we have really interesting artificial intelligence tools and machine learning tools that are constantly looking at what's going on, what travelers are looking for, how to optimize your listings. And so what Melissa and her team does is they can give you prescriptive, specific recommendations. If it's in your photos, they'll tell you. If it's in your descriptions, they'll tell you, right? So please, I mean, you ought to bookmark these guys. I really recommend them because they're super people to have at the top of your Rolodex. Did I just age myself? That's something that we used to use about 30 years ago. Anyway, never mind. All right, Barrett, back to you.
Thank you. Thank you, John, and thank you, Melissa. And now we'll continue with our virtual fireside chat. There's no fireside, but here we are, prepared for an uptick in domestic tourism and the future of international travel. And again, I'm really excited having John Suzuki and Melissa McHaffey here with us today. And John, before we continue, you told us about your very unique title. And I assume most of the participants here know you, but can you share with us your journey within the Expedia Group? What led you to this title? I mean, you have a very long history in the trip and rental space that really made you one of the influencers in it.
Oh God. Okay. Okay. So I started in the vacation. I've been in the vacation rental industry and serving property managers for 16 years. When I started with vacation rentals, Mark Zuckerberg had just launched the Facebook at Harvard. Google just did their IPO. So it's been a while, right? And also way back then, people didn't use credit cards. Somewhere between 5 and 10% of people didn't use credit cards, and maybe 5 to 10% of y'all had websites, right? So the world has changed dramatically, and my role has always been in the property manager, in support of property managers. And so moving forward, I was always in sales, and because that's what I do. I love sales. I like to think that I'm not your stereotypical scumbag salesman, but I love sales because we good salespeople add tons and tons of value into people's lives. And so so I made a lot over a decade. I made a lot of friends, established a lot of relationships, and right around 5 years ago, the industry, because of technology, largely because of Expedia and largely because of HomeAway, started changing very, very rapidly. And so I went to the company, which was HomeAway at the time, and I said, look, and this was before HomeAway got acquired by Expedia. And this was before we made the transformation into an e-commerce marketplace from basically a directory of vacation rentals. And I went to the leadership of HomeAway and I said, look, someone's got to get in front of all this stuff, and someone's got to communicate what's going on and understand the feelings of our property managers out in the industry. And so I convinced the company to create the role of evangelist. And so I went out there, and my job was to try to get out in front. And there were a year or two where we made a handful of pretty big mistakes, and we needed to improve our communication. And so part of my job was to get out there and understand what we needed to do to be better. And here we are. The ombudsman part of my role evolved as well, because in addition to helping everybody understand what we were doing, we found that the more important thing was to listen, was to understand and to try to figure out what are the top things that we as a company need to be focusing on, and communicating that information back to the company and being your advocate within the company for property managers. So it's the best job in the company. And well, how do I know this? I don't know every job in the company, but I love my job. I love you guys. You guys at Guesty, you guys are, as property managers, You add tremendous value into this industry, and the level of professionalism that has evolved over time and continues to rise has been really, really inspiring. And that's gonna continue to take us moving forward successfully.
Thank you. And you're so right. Sometimes we as companies forget that we need to listen to the client at the end of the day and not develop the product that we want, but develop what the customer actually needs. Good point. So back to COVID-19, if you had to really focus on what is the greatest impact COVID-19 has had on VRBO, what would you say?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so if you think of your own company, think of the impact of your company at the scale of Expedia. Expedia is kind of a big company, but I will tell you that COVID has impacted all of us in ways that we never expected. I will tell you that, like you, you may not expect this answer, but financially, right? Financial management. All of us listening has had to tighten their belts and figure things out, right? Cash is king. We've had to, we too, like some of you, have had to lay off staff. But what's really interesting is that it's really made us better. It's made us a lot better. And so when I think about the kinds of things that that we've been having to focus on, right? I mean, it has really reinforced our focus on families. As I showed you in that previous chart back in Q4, our whole focus was on families. Now it's really on families, and our focus is largely on vacation rentals, because vacation rentals are leading the recovery. But back to finances, right? And being smarter with what we do. Expedia Group created the company based on acquisitions of a whole bunch of different properties, right? I'll call them properties, websites, and so forth. And so I'll use the example of making lemonade. So we want to make lemonade, right? And then so there was people have lots of ideas. So let's make bananas. Let's put bananas in the lemonade. Let's put limes in the lemonade. Let's put oranges in the lemonade. Let's put liver and onions in the lemonade, right? And then people say, well, I want the lemons to come. I want to source my lemons from Brazil. Well, I want to source mine from California. I want to source mine from Italy, right? And it just becomes something where we're trying to create the perfect solution for everything. When in fact, when you think of the core of what we're trying to do, we're trying to make really great lemonade, right? And so COVID has caused us to really, really focus on making lemonade. And you know what? Boom, we're making the decision. We're getting our lemonades from Brazil. Fine, done. That's behind us. So we're not, so it's an exercise on efficiency, right? Now, what does this all mean to you? That means that we are taking our focus and made it a hyper focus on lemonade, on the things that drive our business. And the things that drive our business is traffic and demand, and our partners. So understanding from your perspective, what do we need to do for you guys to give you guys the best experience, make it easy, take out the friction, move forward with technology, right? How do we do that? So that has led already in a very, very big way to much faster development, much faster decision making, and a much higher focus on delivering the kinds of things. And just as an example, okay, as you guys had to deal with figuring out how to deal with cancellations and refunds, so did we. We had to figure out how to do it across 70 countries, right? And so imagine in the normal scheme of things where we have this great big company with all these different organizations, and everybody's saying, well, I want to do it my way, right? No, we just came through and basically, and this is just something that we don't have any metrics of this, but something that would have taken months and years to do before the COVID necessity, became weeks. So we took all that away and boom, and we're just focusing and delivering. So I'm really excited about it, actually, because it's making us a better company. It's giving us the ability to respond to our travelers' needs and to your needs faster. we've reorganized the company around this new philosophy of agility, speed, development, and focus. And so it's been good. It's been good. It's been painful, as it has been for all of us. And we're all in this together. I'm sorry to say that, but we are, right? We're all in this together, and we want to do our part to come out of this much better, much stronger, and a much better partner to you guys as we move forward into the future. So it's been that silver lining around the cloud, I think.
Always the optimist.
I always try to be optimistic. Yeah, exactly.
But speaking of cancellations that you've mentioned, I actually wanted to ask you about that because your approach was different than other OTAs during COVID-19 when you decided that you're not unilaterally refunding guests and you gave your the VRBO customers the choice and flexibility to do what was right for their business. Can you elaborate on that a little? What made you take that approach, and have you seen it become successful?
Yeah. That was really interesting. I'll refer back a little bit to what I was telling you about a year or two of tough times and missteps that we made, and we learned from that. We learned tremendously from that. And as a company, we learned that you guys as property managers run very complex businesses. And like Expedia, we call ourselves a two-sided marketplace, right? Where you have travelers and guests on the one hand, and you have owners and your inventory on the other hand, and you have to manage both, and you have to balance both. And that's when you have owners to deal with, that owners lead and create an entire additional level of complexity to your business, right? Because you have owner contracts that you establish once a year. And so that appreciation that we have gained about you guys has led us to changing our DNA within our company. And so when COVID hit, the first thing we did was we said, we're going to refund all the travel service fees, right? It's just the right thing to do. And so then the next question was, okay, so what about everything else? What are we going to do for our partners? Well, we have been espousing the concept of win-win with you guys for years, right? And the thing that's wonderful about the VRBO marketplace is that it really is win-win, because the more bookings that we drive to you guys, the more money you make and the more money we make, right? And so it's a win-win. We are incented to drive business to you guys, right? So that you guys make money and we make money in the process. So then part of the discussion topic was, okay, are we going to also share in the pain? Well, we're refunding the travel service fee. How are we going to move forward with refunds on the bookings themselves? And we decided that in partnership, we were going to let you decide what was the right thing to do for your business, and basically trust our partners to do what we thought was, and a little bit of hope, but a lot of trust that our partners would do what we think is right for ourselves as well, and that's refund. And so that's what we decided to do. So we decided not to unilaterally announce refunds to every single one of our travelers that book through you guys, but basically give you the control. And that's a model that we want to move forward with as much as we can. Now, there's going to be things that we come up with in the future that we just have to. We have to come up either for the company or for government relations or whatever that you're not going to necessarily agree with, but we're going to communicate with you. We're going to let you know what's going on. And so in this case, that's what we decided to do. And the other part of it that we decided to do was to reward those partners who implemented what we thought were good behavior practices, were good practices. And so what we decided to do was, for every booking where a 50% or more refund or credit was given, we're in the process of assigning a 5-star review for that booking. Now, that 5-star review isn't going to manifest itself and show up on the website, because otherwise we'd have thousands of identical reviews. But what it's going to do is it's going to power your search results, right? Because guest reviews affect the search results. So moving forward, we want to move forward in partnership with everybody. with our property managers, with our property management software companies, you guys, right? We want to make sure we're doing good by you guys, because you guys are such a great company to work with, and you know, we have to take care of that part of the ecosystem, and certainly the guests are partners in our property managers, because you're the ones that are most important in delivering the kinds of services, and it's all worked out spectacularly. It's worked out better than we hoped that it would work out. And for you guys, what I'm seeing across the country and around the world, people are coming back, right? People are coming back. You know, you might have thought that you've lost that guest or you've lost that booking, but I'm hearing from just about everybody that thank goodness we did that, because they're coming back and they're saying thank you. We you know, it's one of those things that builds customer loyalty. So thank you to all of you for making it a great experience.
Great. When you analyzed the COVID-19 impact on travelers, how would you say what is the biggest change in their expectations, or what are travelers looking for right now? How can our audience really cater to those needs?
Okay, the number one biggest change in expectations is cancellation policies and flexibility in cancellation policies. That is by far, as I mentioned early on, 78% of folks are filtering on flexible cancellation policies. That it is what it is, and you can understand that. You know, I do. One of the things, if we have time, that I'd like to talk about is an attitude of thinking through what you're doing for your guests as yourself being a vacation rental customer, right? And so because there is so much uncertainty, you know, there's a whole bunch of uncertainty out there, right? What would you want? You would want flexible cancellation policies, right? And so looking through things through that lens, I think is really, really important. It's all about love. It's all about taking care of our guests and giving them the confidence and making them feel secure. So that is the number one thing. Of course, we talked about the cleanliness part of it. Most of you guys do a fantastic job with housekeeping and cleanliness. In a lot of cases, you just have to bring it up a little notch. And one of the little notches is cleaning supplies, right? One of the things that we found is that in search, what's interesting is that in search, it's the number 2 thing people look for is the cleanliness of the property. But once the guest arrives, it's really interesting, because virtually every property, and I've spoken to hundreds of property managers, say that after a guest arrives, they don't say anything about cleanliness or any concerns about it, but they want to have cleaning supplies available to them. Drive-to destinations, non-urban destinations, shorter lead times in terms of booking their travel. So these are the kinds of things that you need to look for. And highlighting the space in your homes. People are looking for space, where travelers might have been looking for, hey, what are all the different kinds of things to do in the area, right? Not so much anymore, because a lot of people a lot of restaurants aren't open, right, for in restaurant dining. And so they're looking for the home itself and spaces within the home. So make sure that you highlight with your photographs the backyard with the table and the chairs in the backyard and all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Great. I want to leave some time for Q&A, because we have some questions that were submitted in advance by participants, as well as some questions that were added now. But before we move to Q&A, I do want to highlight something that Melissa alluded to earlier, and that is consult with VRBO. Okay, it's really important for all of us, also for Guesty in the using and utilizing best the VRBO integration, that you make the most out of it. So as we've mentioned, if you already list with VRBO, then you do have the VRBO partner success team that can work with you to provide more recommendations, as you know, Melissa gave us some wonderful examples earlier. Also, if you're not listed and you're just starting off, they can help you to provide more information on your options, how to list based on your business needs, and to get more market insights and reports. And again, we can mention again the email that you can contact Melissa and her team and get any help with getting set up with a consultation session. Again, our success is your success. We want you to make the most out of your integration and listings.
Hey, Vered, can I just make a quick comment?
Sure.
Along those lines? So some to just think about is if nothing else, use VRBO as your research arm. And the reason why I say that is because whatever it is that we are recommending to you has got countless hours, days, and weeks of research behind it. Anything that shows up on VRBO's website, you ought to consider doing for your own website, right? And so it's something that you can leverage. As Melissa and her team give you recommendations, really think hard about them, because like I said, it's backed up by, in some cases, thousands of hours of research, because we only put out the best practices of everything that we look at. Okay, so we can be a pretty good resource for you just in that way alone.
Great. And now we will move to some Q&A. While we start Q&A, you will see a poll on your screen, very short poll about Guesty and about VRBO that we'll appreciate if you can respond to. Will give us more insights to continue and help you going forward. So thank you for that. Feel free to continue as I start with the Q&A. So first question that came up quite a lot. We talked a lot about cityscaping, staycations, and going outdoors. What do you recommend property management with urban rentals whose markets are slower to recover right now?
Yeah, that's a pretty tough one, right? Because 95% of our bookings are not going to cities. I mean, and that's understandable. Some ideas consider a longer term product, right? You know, understanding that it's all about supply and demand. It's all about supply and demand, right? Unfortunately, in the urban areas, supply is way outstripping demand, obviously, right? So it's really tough. It's really tough. On the vacation rental side of it, on the non-urban areas, right? In a lot of cases, demand is outstripping supply. And in those cases, I encourage our customers to really look at that and set their rates based on the appropriate supply-demand curve, right? In some cases, as demand increases, and in some cases just explodes, right? When demand is high and supply is low, pricing goes up. Vice versa, pricing needs to come down.
First lesson in economics, yeah.
What's that?
First lesson in economics, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so for those folks in the urban areas, just keep an eye on that supply-demand curve, right? Because eventually it's going to equalize, and hopefully it'll go back to where normal is. But it's going to be a while. And so the idea is figuring out different business models, right? Property management models, because from a booking standpoint, from a short-term booking standpoint, it just isn't there. It just isn't there. So thinking about your business a little bit differently.
Yeah, I do want to add from the Guesty side, what we see with our urban property managers, it's a lot about also catering to new personas, right? So for example, if staycations are not the right approach for your properties, but work from home locations are a possibility, then try to cater to that audience, right? or try to think of frontline and hospital workers that might need space in your specific city. So there still are audiences interested in urban spaces, not the same audience that you've seen 6 months ago, and you need to adjust. You need to find out who are the new personas you want to market to, and how do you still try to get demand from that type of audience. Melissa, you want to add something?
Yes, if I may. I just think also sort of hearkening back to a comment John made earlier about highlighting your backyard for one example. My suggestion would be think through your property that's in the urban setting. Is there a place where it really highlights, you know, this is an individualized study area, or this is a part of the property where you can really feel like you have your own you know, sort of getaway. And that would be something that I would maybe highlight in your photo carousel. I would move those types of photos to the front and sort of try to capture potential guests that way. So again, highlighting the items or call outs of your property that speak to what people are looking for right now, in a more, speaking in very general terms.
Great. One more question that we have. What are some of the changes vacation rentals are making to attract travelers during this time? And has VRBO made any changes to its platform to improve host visibility and performance?
Right. Well, you know, I think, again, there's, all of this is fairly, or not fairly, but it is individualized, right? So what may work for one partner may not work for another, but I can speak in general terms. You know, a lot of what I've been counseling or suggesting to my partners is this idea around call out to cleanliness. You know, utilize your headline to indicate that this is a, you know, a clean property. Go ahead and make a slide that shows the guest or potential guest that, you know, you're following these different protocols, and put that into your photo carousel. I think also giving a little thought to how you have your photos ordered in terms of what are the important call outs that you want people to see is important. So yes, that may be spending time reordering your photos, but you can fix it later. And then I also think that just in general, giving some thought to how you are describing what makes your property unique, and keeping in mind, again, I feel like we're sort of a broken record with this, but cleanliness, flexible policies, those are really important things. Also, again, I know we've mentioned today, but the idea of drivability, highlighting that as, you know, sort of a hook, if you will, for folks. And then also, I think in terms of what has VRBO done, what I think has been really beneficial, John spoke to a lot of them, but the ability to filter by cleanliness, the ability to filter by cancellation policy. And again, you're hearing the same terms over and over, but I really do think that for my partners who have taken the chance to rework their listings to highlight these things, they've been the ones that have seen the success. And then I also like what John shared about how he got excited about the sort of individualized suggestions about where you can go. And so I think that's another thing that VRBO has done to sort of attract, once we have the traveler on our site, giving them the opportunity to think about places that they may not have thought about.
Great.
And I think a couple of other things, right? I mentioned Wi-Fi, right? Think about the things that you want in your home, right? Not just in a vacation home, but you would want in your home Wi-Fi, because people are going to work, right? In a lot of cases, they're getting away. A couple of other things, just to think about along those lines is your beds, right? We talk a lot about bedrooms. Be specific on the beds, the number of beds, the size of the beds, because in a lot of cases, people have to share bedrooms, and families share bedrooms. So the number of beds, the types of beds, the sizes of the beds, you know, that kind of thing. And also importantly, as Melissa and I have spoken about, really feature the home, the inside gathering spaces, the outside gathering spaces. Talk about the kinds of things people can do as a family, board games, Pictionary, you know, because this really is, I mean, what a wonderful opportunity to bring people together, right? To bring families together. Think about things that you can do and games you can create to bring teenage kids back together with their parents, you know, to reconnect people. And again, think about what you would want as a vacation rental traveler. It really is, you know, we get so caught up, in my opinion, we get so caught up in the data, and we get so caught up in information and trying to understand and being told the answers, when really a big part of the answers is right here. It's not here, it's here, right? It's a heart thing. Actually, the heart is on, this side. The heart is on the left side. So anyway, you know, figure out in your mind, what are the kinds of things that you would want, right? And give it to them, or at least consider giving it to them. And don't forget to use this, but also use your heart as well as you make your decisions, because you are them, right? So yeah.
Wonderful. I'd like to end with one last question. John, if you had a crystal ball, okay, what are your predictions for the future of STR at this challenging time?
If I had a crystal ball, okay. So this is, you're asking this of me. So the answer that I'm going to give you is a John answer. It's not necessarily an Expedia Group or a VRBO answer. Is that fair?
Fair.
Okay. So here's what I see. This industry for 16 years has been growing, right? I haven't seen a year in 16 years where even through the recession to 2008, where growth was set back. And so I don't see any reason why that would change in the future. Now, one of the really wonderful things that Expedia Group brings to the table is lots and lots and lots of known customers who have never experienced vacation, who still haven't experienced vacation rentals before. And so there is still a very large audience of people, or population of people, who've never experienced vacation rentals, and right now they're starting to. And so moving forward, if I had a crystal ball, this is just my guess, right? Because of that, and because of the value, people are looking for value. People are looking to reconnect. People are looking to be with their families, right? You know, I'm going to tell you a quick story that just broke my heart. And it's a story about Steve Jobs. So Steve Jobs, I mean, name a person on planet Earth that was more successful and more influential in technology than Steve Jobs, right? I mean, hugely successful guy. He died, right? And on his deathbed, he said, you know what? The most important thing to me was my family. And I missed it. He missed it, right? And so you think of all the accolades, all the wonderful, wonderful, wonderful praise and all the things that he did. He missed it, right? And we have the opportunity to help people make sure that they don't miss it, because it's all about love, right? And so because of that, and because I believe we are a heart business. We are a family business. We are a vacation business. We're a business that brings people together and helps them reconnect. I believe that it's going to be more important than ever before to provide that service and that value to humanity. I just do. I know it sounds touchy-feely and all that kind of stuff, but I mean, think about it. Why the heck do you want to go on vacation with your family? It's to reconnect with the people that you love. So my view of this, and the reason why I love this industry so much, is because that's what we do. And I will also tell you that one of the mega trends that we're seeing is artificial intelligence, right? And we've all heard that artificial intelligence is going to replace jobs. We've heard Elon Musk talk about self-driving long-haul trucks. I mean, really? So we've heard about the Amazon Go stores, and so we know this is coming. We have to be in a position as people for our professions and our livelihoods in the future, where computers are going to generate the kinds of things involving data. Humans are going to have to focus on humans, right? The things that computers can't, and the things that computers can't do are things like creativity, the arts, and relationships. They can't. And so for that reason as well, this is a fabulous industry to be in. I mean, I don't see anything slowing down anytime soon. Now, in the meantime, we have to survive COVID, right? We have to survive this, and we all have to be flexible. We all have to figure out how to do business differently, right? And we all have to be adaptable, and we all have to be agile. And so that's our commitment to you guys, is that we're going to be as agile as we can. We're going to be as communicative as we can to let you guys know what's going on. Get with Melissa's team, the partner success team, and bookmark their contact information, right? And because it's all about we're all in this together, and it's all about working together. And we're gonna do everything we can to help you guys not only survive this but thrive through this, because there's a huge opportunity at the end of this rainbow. I think that's my opinion.
That's wonderful, John, and I'm hoping that your crystal ball is very accurate. I do think that in general, we feel that COVID has brought everyone together, right? Not just family, but even us as an industry. I see so much collaboration from our partners, from our clients, from everybody, from our competitors, you name it. Really, I think the industry in the time of need has come together to understand that we are one big family, and we need to survive this and succeed and get out stronger together, and not by, alienating one another. So thank you for an enlightening discussion. I think it was very helpful and insightful for our customers. I hope everyone enjoyed it. As I've mentioned, this recording will be sent to all participants over email. And if we haven't answered questions that you've sent through, we will address them. You will get a response to every question that was posted during the Q&A. Thank you again, John and Melissa. It was wonderful to have you. And
it's a pleasure.
We love you guys.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone. Thank you for joining us today.